Marcus Reed had fixed 1,000 pipes in 1,000 buildings, but nothing prepared him for the sound that froze him mid-step, the sharp crack of laughter that echoed down the marble lobby. It wasn't ordinary laughter. It carried direction, aim, intent. Officer Bradley Crane leaned against a security desk, one hand resting on his duty belt, the other pointing casually at Marcus's toolbox as if it were a punchline. "Look at that," Crane said to the guard beside him, voice loud enough to slice through the lobby's morning hush. "Another one thinking he belongs here." Marcus felt the heat rise behind his ears. The fluorescent lights flickered above him, humming like they knew something he didn't. He forced a breath. He'd come to fix a burst line on the 8th floor. Routine job. Signed work order. Nothing complicated. But Crane stepped forward, boots heavy on the polished floor. "You lost, Plumber?" he asked, eyes narrowing the way someone narrows them at spilled trash. "No, sir," Marcus said softly. "I'm here for maintenance." Crane's smile widened, razor-thin. "Maintenance doesn't walk through the front. Use the service entrance. Next time, learn your place." That sentence cut deeper than any blade. People slowed. A receptionist froze mid-dial. Even the elevator doors seemed to hesitate before closing. Marcus gripped his toolbox until metal dug into his palm. Something in Crane's voice told him this wasn't over. Not today. A sudden alarm pinged overhead, urgent, piercing, and the building shuddered as if reacting to a threat no one could yet see. And Marcus realized the threat was him. Marcus Reed stepped into the lobby with the steady confidence of a man who'd been fixing broken systems his entire life. Pipes, boilers, pressure valves, everything made more sense than people. The building air held a familiar mixture of chemical cleaner and faint cologne from the morning rush. He adjusted the strap of his heavy toolbox as he approached the directory sign. 8th floor. Routine job. Simple. A sharp laugh echoed from the security desk. "Hold up," Officer Bradley Crane said, pushing off the counter with the casual menace of someone who believed the world bowed to his mood. "You lost, buddy." Marcus paused. "No, sir. Work order for Unit 8A. Crane snorted. "Work order? Sure. And I'm the mayor." The security guard beside him stiffened, but said nothing. Marcus kept his tone even. "Maintenance issue. Burst pipe." Crane tapped the toolbox with the toe of his boot. "Funny, you people always show up through the wrong entrance." Marcus blinked. "I came through the main because you felt like it." Crane cut in. "Service workers use the back. You don't get to stroll through marble like you own it." Marcus swallowed. "I'm here to do my job." Crane leaned in. "Your job is wherever I tell you it is." Marcus felt heat push behind his ribs, but he stayed still, steady. "Sir, the 8th floor is requesting urgent repairs." Crane waved a dismissive hand. "Let me see ID." Marcus handed it over. Crane inspected it with exaggerated slowness, then turned it under the fluorescent light as if checking for counterfeit ink. "Reed Plumbing? Never heard of it." "We're contracted often," Marcus said. Crane wasn't listening. He flipped the ID once more, held it toward the guard. "Run this." The guard hesitated. "Officer Crane, his just." Crane's voice sharpened. "Run it." The guard obeyed. Marcus tightened his grip on his toolbox. A cluster of tenants walked by, heads down, choosing silence over involvement. Marcus's breath grew shallow. He'd been in buildings like this before, places where security uniforms turned one man into a gatekeeper of dignity. Crane smirked. "Tell me, Plumber, how long you been doing this? Bet you love fixing rich folks' messes." Marcus exhaled slowly. "My work doesn't depend on who's rich." "That so?" Crane stepped closer. "Then why are your hands shaking?" They weren't, but Marcus realized Crane wanted a reaction, wanted power confirmed, wanted the morning to bend around his authority. The guard looked up reluctantly. "It's clear." Crane didn't move. "Clear for what?" "I didn't approve access." Marcus blinked. "Sir, I have a work order." Crane tossed the ID back. It hit Marcus's chest and slid down into his palm. "Use the service elevator. And don't try to wonder." Marcus nodded once, controlled, contained, and headed toward the maintenance corridor. Crane's voice followed him like a stain. "Next time," he said loudly, "learn your place before you walk in here." Marcus kept walking, jaw tight. The maintenance hallway was colder, lit by buzzing bulbs that hummed over metal pipes and concrete walls. He tapped the elevator button. It rattled open, groaning like it hated being used. As Marcus stepped inside, Crane's voice crackled through a nearby radio speaker. "Keep eyes on the plumber," Crane said. "I don't trust him up there." Marcus froze. The elevator doors creaked shut, trapping him between floors and suspicion. He whispered to himself, "This is going to be a long day." And the building seemed to whisper back, "Yes, it would be." The service elevator clanked Marcus onto the 5th floor instead of the 8th, jerking to a stop as if protesting his presence. He stepped out into a dim hallway lined with storage rooms and forgotten paint cans. The air carried a damp chill, almost metallic. He checked the work order again, 8th floor, Unit 8A, then turned toward the stairwell. "Seriously," he muttered, eyeing the flights ahead. He shifted the toolbox to his other hand and began climbing. Each step thudded heavily, echoing like distant knocks on a hollow drum. Halfway up, a door opened below him. "Hey!" a voice called quietly. "You the plumber?" Marcus glanced down. A janitor emerged, gray uniform smudged with cleaning solution. He looked nervous, eyes darting toward the hallway camera. "Yeah," Marcus said softly. "Trying to get to 8." The janitor sighed. "Figures. Crane messing with you." Marcus hesitated. "Is that what this is?" The janitor climbed a few steps toward him. "Man does this all the time. Picks someone, makes their day hell. Likes to look important." He lowered his voice. "Especially with folks who look like you." Marcus clenched his jaw. "I just want to do my job." "I know," the janitor said. "But he'll keep blocking you if he can. Elevator access? He controls it. Cameras? He controls those too." "That's reassuring," Marcus murmured. The janitor offered a sympathetic shrug. "Look, I'd walk you up, but if he sees me, I'll get written up. Just keep your head down." He paused. "And watch out. He doesn't like feeling ignored." Marcus nodded. "Thanks for the warning." The janitor gave a half salute and slipped back through the stairwell door. Marcus continued upward, breathing steadily, refusing to let anger dictate his steps. By the time he reached the 7th floor, his shoulders burned from the weight of the tools. He paused, wiping sweat from his forehead, when a voice rattled through the stairwell speaker. "Plumber Reed," Crane said, tone dripping with false formality. "Report to the 8th floor landing before proceeding. Security check." Marcus muttered under his breath, "What now?" He pushed open the door to the 8th floor and stepped into a sleek corridor lined with frosted glass offices. Soft piano music played faintly from somewhere. The air smelled expensive, like eucalyptus and new carpeting. Crane stood waiting, arms folded, smirk ready, eyes gleaming with territory marked. "Well, look who finally crawled up here," Crane said. "Took you long enough." Marcus kept his voice steady. "Elevator didn't stop." "Sure. That's why stairs exist." Crane nodded toward Marcus's toolbox. "Open it." Marcus blinked. "For what purpose?" "Security," Crane said. "Unless you're hiding something." "It contains plumbing equipment." "Then you shouldn't mind showing me." Marcus exhaled slowly. He knelt, opened the lid, and lifted tools one by one. Crane inspected each piece with exaggerated suspicion. "What's this?" Crane asked, holding a pipe cutter like it might detonate. "A pipe cutter," Marcus said. Crane snorted. "Looks sharp." "It's supposed to be." Crane placed it down, then prodded a wrench. Heavy enough to crack a skull. Marcus's patience thinned. "Officer, I'm here because a tenant reported water damage. Can I proceed?" Crane leaned close, breath minty and sour all at once. "You'll proceed when I'm satisfied you're not a problem." Marcus met his gaze. "Have I been one?" Crane's smile turned brittle. "You walked through the wrong door this morning. That's enough." Marcus closed the toolbox deliberately. "May I access Unit 8A now?" Crane didn't answer. Instead, his radio chirped. A voice spoke through static. "Officer Crane, status check." Crane clicked the button. "Everything's under control. Plumber is being evaluated." Marcus felt a flare of frustration. "Evaluated for doing my job." Crane lowered the radio. "You got a tone now?" "No," Marcus said, though exhaustion dragged at the edges of his words. "I'm trying to repair the pipe before it causes more damage." Crane stepped aside dramatically, as if granting royal permission. "Fine. Go. But don't wander. Don't speak to tenants. Don't cause issues." Marcus walked past him, toolbox brushing against his leg. Crane called after him. "Remember, you're here because I'm allowing it." Marcus didn't respond. He turned the corner toward Unit 8A. The hallway was quiet except for the hum of air conditioning. As he approached the door, something made him pause. Crane's voice. Low, calm, speaking into his radio. "Keep watching him," Crane murmured. "If he steps out of line, I want to know." Marcus tightened his grip on the handle of his toolbox. This wasn't harassment by accident. It was deliberate, and it was far from over. Unit 8A opened with a soft click after Marcus knocked. A tenant, middle-aged, tired eyes, suit jacket draped over a chair, gestured him inside. "Thank God," the man said. "Water's been dripping since last night. Maintenance wouldn't send anyone." Marcus stepped in. "I'll take care of it. I just need access to the bathroom line." The tenant nodded. "It's all yours. Do you, need anything? Tools? Towels?" "I've got it," Marcus said, setting down his toolbox. The pipe behind the wall hissed faintly, already telling its story. Too much pressure. Old joints. Neglect. A system about to fail. He crouched beside the access panel. But before he could remove the screws, a heavy knock shook the door. "Crane. Open up," Crane barked. The tenant sighed. "Oh, great. Him again." Marcus stood slowly as the tenant opened the door. Crane stepped inside like he owned the apartment. "You didn't check in before entering," Crane snapped. Marcus frowned. "I knocked. Tenant let me in." "That's not what I asked," Crane said, scanning the room as though searching for contraband. "You're supposed to report movements." "I go where the work order sends me," Marcus replied. Crane's eyes narrowed. "What's the tone?" The tenant folded his arms. "Officer, is there a problem?" Crane ignored him. "What's he told you? That is the only one who can fix this? Typical." Marcus felt heat prickle his palms. "Sir, the pipe needs immediate repair. If we delay..." A loud bang burst from the wall, followed by a roar of pressurized water exploding through the panel, flooding the floor. The tenant jumped back, cursing. "Whoa! What the hell?" he shouted. Crane pointed aggressively. "You did that." Marcus stepped toward the spray, voice steady. "No." The joint snapped. It was overdue for replacement. Crane scoffed. "So you're saying it's not your fault a pipe burst the moment you touched it?" "I didn't touch it," Marcus said. "It blew from internal pressure." "Convenient," Crane muttered. The tenant grabbed his phone, filming the mess. "Officer, he didn't cause this. I heard the pipes groaning for days." Crane shot him a glare. "Turn that off." "No," the tenant said firmly. "This is ridiculous." Marcus knelt again, tools clattering as he positioned a clamp around the spraying joint. Water splashed against his shirt, cold and relentless. Crane hovered, continuing the interrogation. "You sure you're certified?" he asked. "Because this looks like amateur work." Marcus tightened the clamp. "Certification doesn't stop aging infrastructure." "Or incompetence," Crane snapped. The tenant stepped closer. "Officer, will you let him work?" Crane barked. "Stay out of it." Marcus ignored the argument, focusing on sealing the line temporarily. Water slowed, then reduced to a small trickle. He exhaled sharply. Crane gestured mockingly at the soaked floor. "Nice job. Whole hallway's drowning now." Marcus stood. "That's because the pipe needed emergency replacement long ago. I can fix the section, but maintenance will need building-wide tests." Crane smirked. "Or maybe you made it worse so you could charge more." Marcus blinked. I'm paid a flat rate. Everyone's got a scam, Crane said. I see it every day. The tenant, still recording, said, Officer, you're out of line. He's doing his job. Crane lunged toward him. Give me the phone. No. Now. No. Crane's hand twitched toward his belt, and Marcus intervened instinctively. Officer, he said quietly, the pipe's fixed. Let me finish cleanup. Crane's eyes cut toward him like knives. Don't tell me what to do. Marcus swallowed the frustration burning his throat. I'm not. Just trying to prevent more damage. Crane stepped close enough that Marcus could smell the mint on his breath. I'll decide when you're done here. Marcus didn't move. The tenant whispered, Man, he's harassing you. This isn't normal. Marcus murmured, I've seen worse. Still wrong, the tenant said. Marcus crouched again, wiping water from the baseboards. His motions were deliberate, steady, even though his pulse thudded painfully in his ears. Every time he tried to do his job, Crane hovered, throwing accusations like debris in a storm. After several tense minutes, Marcus stood. The temporary fix will hold. I'll need to check the hallway line, too. Crane scoffed. Great. More chances for you to screw something up. Marcus held back the reply forming on his tongue. Sir, the building needs repairs, not arguments. Crane raised a brow. Is that attitude I'm hearing? The tenant muttered, Unbelievable. Marcus packed his tools, jaw aching from restraint. He stepped into the hallway, where water had pooled across the carpet. Crane followed, smirking. Look at this mess. My report's going to be interesting. Marcus turned. Your report should reflect the truth. Crane's smile sharpened. It'll reflect what I say it reflects. Marcus felt his stomach twist, not in fear, but in recognition. This wasn't about pipes. It never had been. It was about power. And Crane was just getting started. By the time Marcus finished mopping the hallway, his shirt clung to his back and the wet carpet squished beneath each step. He lifted his toolbox, ready to move on to the next inspection, when Crane's voice thundered behind him. Hold it. You're coming with me. Marcus tightened his grip. I still have to check the downstream line. Crane smirked. Funny. The manager wants to see you. Now. The tenant from 8A appeared in the doorway. Why? He didn't do anything wrong. Crane gestured sharply. Stay out of this. Marcus exhaled slowly. Lead the way. Crane walked with deliberate slowness, ensuring Marcus followed closely, as if escorting a criminal, not a contractor. They reached the glass-walled office near the elevators. The property manager, Mr. Daltry, stood behind his desk, fiddling nervously with papers. Crane pushed the door open. Here he is. Daltry looked up. Mr. Reed? Officer Crane raised concerns. Marcus stepped inside. Concerns about what? Crane crossed his arms. Potential damage. Unprofessional behavior. Possible safety violations. Marcus blinked. Safety violations? I just prevented a hallway from flooding. Daltry stammered. Officer Crane says a pipe burst the moment you touched it. That's not true, Marcus said. The pipe was failing due to pressure buildup. Crane shook his head. He can say anything now. But I was there. He caused it. Marcus turned to Daltry. Sir, I have decades of experience. Pipes don't explode because someone looks at them wrong. Daltry swallowed. Well, we can't risk liability. Liability. Marcus repeated. I was hired to fix a problem your maintenance team ignored. Crane stepped forward. You see how he talks? Disrespectful. Aggressive. Marcus's voice stayed level, though irritation boiled beneath. I'm explaining the situation. Daltry raised his hands. Okay, let's stay calm. Officer Crane also mentioned you used the wrong entrance this morning. Marcus inhaled sharply. The front entrance is open to the public. Crane cut in. Not for contractors like you. Marcus looked between them. This feels less like a policy issue and more like something else. Crane narrowed his eyes. Careful. Daltry cleared his throat. Mr. Reed, maybe it's best if you finish today's work quickly and avoid further issues. Marcus stared at him. So you're siding with him? Daltrey's gaze dropped. His security. He keeps the building safe. Marcus let out a bitter laugh. Safe from plumbers. Crane stiffened. That's enough. Marcus stepped closer to Daltrey. Sir, is this how complaints work here? If someone in uniform says something, you just accept it. Daltrey blushed. I'm just trying to prevent escalation. You're enabling it, Marcus said quietly. Crane's hand drifted toward his belt. What's your tone? Marcus froze. Daltrey paled. No need for that. Daltrey said quickly. Marcus, maybe you should head out for the day. We can reassess. Marcus swallowed the knot in his throat. You're dismissing me without even reviewing the work order. Daltrey rubbed the back of his neck. It might be better for everyone. Crane smirked. See? Manager agrees. Marcus closed his toolbox. I still need to inspect the main line. Crane stepped forward, blocking the exit. Not happening. You're done. Marcus met his stare. I'm contracted to finish repairs. Not anymore, Crane said, unless you want me to call backup. Daltrey winced. Officer Crane, maybe that's not necessary. Crane didn't look away from Marcus. Depends on him. A long silence stretched between them. Marcus finally said, I'll leave. Crane stepped aside with a mock bow. Good choice. Marcus walked out, pulse pounding. He reached the hallway, where the tenant from 8A waited, arms crossed. What did he pull? The tenant asked. Same thing he always does, Marcus murmured. Power first, truth second. The tenant sighed. Want me to file a report? Show the video. Marcus hesitated. Reports like that, they don't go far. Still worth trying. Marcus shook his head. Not yet. I need to think. As he moved toward the stairwell, the building seemed colder, heavier, like its walls were complicit. Today wasn't about pipes. It was about being pushed out, and Crane wasn't finished. Not by a long shot. Marcus descended the stairwell with his toolbox thudding against his leg, each echo feeling heavier than the last. When he reached the sixth-floor landing, a voice whispered from behind the supply closet door. Pust Marcus. He toned. The janitor from earlier stepped out, glancing nervously down the hall. You all right? Crane came storming past here like he won a trophy. Marcus let out a slow breath. He dragged me into the manager's office. Got me dismissed. The janitor cursed under his breath. Man, I'm sorry. He does this. He's got this thing about control. Picks targets, pushes until they break. Marcus adjusted the toolbox strap. Seems like the whole building lets him. They are scared, the janitor said. You challenge him, he writes you up. Too many write-ups? You're gone. So he rules by fear, Marcus muttered. Exactly. The janitor looked down the hole again, and he likes picking people who won't fight back, or who he thinks won't. Marcus's jaw tightened. Well, he picked wrong today. The janitor hesitated. Look, some folks here been dealing with him for months. He yells at delivery drivers, blocks tenants from their own floors. Once made a nurse cry for walking too confidently. Marcus blinked. Walking too confidently. Yeah, said she was disrupting order. Marcus shook his head. Unbelievable. A woman's voice interrupted softly. It's all true. Marcus turned. A young administrative assistant stood near her office door, hands clasped tightly. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. He harassed me last week for using the wrong elevator, she said. Told me, people like you use service routes. I asked what he meant, and he just stared at me. Marcus felt a bitter weight settle in his chest. And you reported it. She laughed without humor. To who? Daltrey? He freezes up every time Crane talks. Security's practically running the building now. Another employee peeked out from a nearby doorway. Crane's worse than people know. He checks our badges 3 times a day. Searches packages without cause. Says it's protocol. Marcus exhaled slowly. The building wasn't just poorly managed. It was scaled, bent under someone who enjoyed bending people. The administrative assistant added, "You were only here a few hours and he latched onto you fast." Marcus nodded. He didn't like that I walked through the front door. "That's how it starts," she whispered. Before Marcus could respond, a buzzing vibration pulsed in his pocket. He pulled out his phone. A text from his lawyer. "Closing delayed. Buyer wants update on inspection records. Call me." Marcus's breath hitched. The building, the sale, the documents. He wasn't just a plumber today. He was the pending buyer. Or he was supposed to be. The janitor noticed Marcus's expression shift. "Bad news." Marcus tucked the phone away. "Complication," he said, "but unrelated." The assistant frowned. "You sure? You look shaken." Marcus hesitated, then said, "I'm fine. Just need to finish something." The janitor lowered his voice. "Listen, be careful with Crane. He smells defiance like a dog smells rain." "I'm already on his radar," Marcus said. "What more can he do?" The assistant said softly, "You don't want to find out." Marcus's phone buzzed again. Another message. "Crane filed incident paperwork. Says you caused property damage." Marcus closed his eyes briefly, steadying his breath. Of course, it wasn't enough that Crane humiliated him. He was trying to sabotage him professionally, too. The janitor touched Marcus's arm. "Whatever he's doing, don't let him break you." Marcus forced a tight smile. "He won't." But inside, frustration twisted like a wrench tightening the wrong way. He couldn't let this derail the purchase. Too much depended on it. His long-term plan, his investment, his quiet act of generational defiance. He lifted his toolbox again. "I need to make a call." The assistant whispered, "If you ever take control of this place, if you ever have the power, please fix what is done." Marcus paused, looking at both of them, one step at a time. As he continued down the stairs, he felt their eyes on him, watching, hoping, maybe silently rooting for someone to finally stand up to the man who had made the building cage. Marcus tightened his grip on the rail. Crane thought he had already won, but the story wasn't finished. Not even close. Marcus stepped outside into the parking area behind the building, breathing the cooler air as if it were medicine. He dialed his lawyer before the frustration in his chest could harden. "Marcus," the lawyer answered, brisk but steady. "We hit a snag." "I saw the text," Marcus said. "What's going on?" "The seller wants updated inspection records. Claims there might be new damage to the plumbing infrastructure." Marcus closed his eyes. "Crane." "Who?" "A security officer here. He's trying to paint me as incompetent." The lawyer exhaled. "Well, unless we provide updated documentation, they could delay closing again." "How long?" "A week. Maybe 2. Marcus shook his head. "That gives them time to shop for another buyer." "Exactly," the lawyer said. "So if you need anything from that building, now's the time." Marcus's voice hardened. "Then I'm going back in." "Just be careful," the lawyer warned. Marcus hung up and grabbed his clipboard from the truck. He wasn't leaving without completing the final inspection, no matter how many obstacles Crane threw at him. He walked toward the service entrance, only to find Crane already standing there, leaning against the wall like a gatekeeper expecting tribute. Well, Crane said. "Thought you were sent home." Marcus replied calmly, "I have follow-up work to complete." Crane laughed sharply. "Not today, you don't." Marcus held up the clipboard. "The building needs a final inspection. Delaying it creates liability." "Liability for who?" Crane asked with mocking innocence. "You? Or the people who hired you?" Marcus met his eyes. "You know exactly what you're doing." Crane smirked. "I'm doing my job." "No," Marcus said. "You're misusing it." Crane straightened, stepping into Marcus's path. "You want through this door? Show me what you're carrying." Marcus lifted the clipboard. "Tools and documents." "Open the bag." Marcus sighed. He set the toolbox down and opened it again, revealing nothing but wrenches, clamps, and fittings. Crane inspected them slowly. You really like causing problems, don't you? Marcus kept his tone even. Pipes break. People mismanage. That's all. Crane's smile vanished. What's yourself? Marcus repacked his tools and stepped past Crane before another demand could be invented. He entered the building and headed straight to the main mechanical room. The air hummed with machinery, a steady rhythm he trusted more than any human voice in this building. As Marcus reached the control panel, footsteps echoed behind him. The tenant from 8A. Hey, the tenant said, breathless. I saw you come in. I've got something. Marcus raised an eyebrow. What is it? The tenant held up his phone. The video. The whole exchange from earlier. Crane yelling, blaming you, the pipe bursting without you touching anything. Marcus inhaled. You kept recording. Yeah, the tenant said, and I'm not deleting it. Someone's got to hold him accountable. Before Marcus could answer, another voice sliced into the room. Hand over that phone. Crane stood in the doorway, face hardening into something feral. The tenant backed up. No. Crane stepped closer. You're interfering with a security investigation. Marcus moved between them. That's not true, and you know it. Crane's jaw twitched. Reed, step aside. Marcus didn't move. The footage shows the truth. Truth is what I say it is. Crane snapped. The tenant shook his head. Not anymore. Crane reached for the phone, but the tenant jerked it away, clutching it to his chest. Touch me and I'll go to the police. Crane laughed coldly. I am the police. Marcus felt something inside him tighten, a line that could no longer bend. You're a security officer in a private building, and you're overstepping. Crane's face flushed with anger. You're done here, Reed. Marcus turned slightly. After I finish my inspection. No, Crane said, stepping forward. You're leaving right now. A sudden metallic groan filled the room. Marcus spun toward the mainline pressure gauge. The numbers danced erratically. Something's wrong, Marcus muttered. Crane ignored him. Get out. But the gauge kept rising. Marcus grabbed the release valve, twisting sharply. A rush of steam hissed out, stabilizing the meter. He exhaled. If I hadn't been here, that line would have ruptured. Crane stayed, thrown off balance for a moment. The tenant said quietly, maybe he's the only one in this building actually keeping things from falling apart. Crane glared at both of them, but something in his posture faltered. Marcus lifted his toolbox. I'm finishing what I started. And this time, Crane didn't stop him. Not because he wanted to, but because, for the first time, he couldn't. Marcus finished the last pressure test and documented the stabilized readings. His hands were steady, but his breath carried the weight of hours spent dodging hostility. He closed his toolbox and turned toward the exit, only to find Crane waiting again, leaning against the wall as if summoned by the building's shadows. You're still here, Crane said flatly. Marcus met his gaze. Inspection's done. No, it's not, Crane replied. Not until I say so. Marcus shook his head. You don't control the inspection logs. Crane took a step forward. I control everything in this building. A voice cut through the tension. Actually, you don't. Both men turned. Mr. Daltrey stood behind them, pale and flustered, clutching a folder, and behind him were several tenants, including the one from 8A, hovering like witnesses unsure how close they should stand. Crane straightened. Sir, Reed shouldn't even be here. I told you. Daltrey raised a trembling hand. Officer Crane, I need to speak with you. Now. Crane frowned. About what? Daltrey swallowed. The video. Crane's eyebrow shot up. What video? The tenant stepped forward, holding his phone. This one. He tapped the screen. Crane's own voice echoed out. He caused it. Then truth is what I say it is. Daltrey winced at every line. The other tenants exchanged glances, fear, relief, and simmering anger mixing in their expressions. Crane lunged toward the tenant. Give me that. The tenant stepped back. Touch me again and I'll sue. Marcus moved subtly into Crane's path, not touching him, just existing in the space Crane wanted to use. Don't. Crane seethed. This is out of context. He edited it. Daltrey looked defeated. Officer Crane, the corporate office saw the footage. Crane blinked. Corporate office. They called me 10 minutes ago, Daltrey said, voice trembling. They asked why multiple tenants have filed informal complaints. They want a full report. Crane's face hardened. I'll write it. No, Daltrey whispered. They want mine. And Marcus's. Crane stared at Daltrey as if betrayed. You're taking his side. Daltrey's shoulders sagged. I'm following procedure. Crane looked ready to explode. Procedure? Procedure is what I enforce. Marcus spoke quietly. Procedure is what keeps people safe. That's not what you've been doing. Crane turned on him. You think you can walk in here and tell me how to do my job? Marcus held his gaze. I don't have to tell you. Your actions already show it. Crane stepped forward aggressively, but Daltrey intervened. Stop. Officer Crane, you need to accompany me to the office. Corporate wants you placed on administrative suspension while they review the footage. Crane froze. Suspension, he repeated, as if the word were foreign. Daltrey nodded. With pay? For now. Crane's eyes darted to Marcus, burning with resentment. You did this. Marcus shook his head. You did this to yourself. Crane's lip curled. You think one video changes anything? I know people. I make one call. No, you won't, a new voice said firmly. Captain Jonas, the building security supervisor, walked into the hallway, uniform crisp, eyes sharp with authority that didn't need theatrics. Officer Crane, Jonas said, hand over your badge. Crane blinked. Captain, I. Now. The hallway went silent. Crane hesitated, then unhooked his badge with shaking fingers. Jonas took it, slipping it into his pocket. You violated protocol, escalated conflicts, and endangered tenants, Jonas said. You're to leave the premises immediately. Crane's throat bobbed. You're abandoning me over him. Jonas answered coldly. I'm enforcing the law. Something you should have done. Crane glared at Marcus one last time. This isn't over. Marcus didn't flinch. For me, it is. Crane stormed down the hallway, pushing through the exit door so hard it rattled the frame. Silence lingered until Daltrey turned to Marcus, swallowing hard. Mr. Reed, I owe you an apology. Marcus nodded once. Better late than never. The tenant stepped closer. You should tell him the truth. Daltrey blinked. Truth. Marcus exhaled slowly. I'm not just a contractor. Daltrey frowned. What do you mean? Marcus reached into his bag and handed over a neatly folded packet. Purchase documents. I'm the pending buyer of this building. Daltrey's jaw dropped. You're the buyer. Yes, Marcus said quietly, and today only reminded me why change is overdue. A stunned hush filled the hallway, and for the first time all day, the building felt like it had shifted, ever so slightly, in Marcus's direction. The hallway slowly emptied after Crane's removal, but the tension lingered like dust in a beam of light. Marcus remained still for a moment, letting the quiet settle around him. Daltrey hovered nearby, wringing his hands as though unsure what to say next. Mr. Reed, Daltrey began, voice small. I didn't know. If I had understood who you were. Marcus cut him off gently. Would it have changed how I was treated? Daltrey blinked, mouth opening and closing before he admitted, probably. Marcus nodded. And that's the problem. Daltrey lowered his gaze. I'm truly sorry. The tenant from 8A stepped forward. Sorry doesn't undo what happened. Daltrey swallowed. I know. I'll cooperate fully with corporate. You'll need to do more than that, Marcus said quietly. Daltrey frowned. What do you mean? Marcus leaned against the wall, speaking slowly. This building has a culture problem. People are scared to speak, scared to push back. Crane didn't become like this overnight. The administrative assistant, who had followed from a distance, stepped closer. He bullied everyone. We all just accepted it. Daltrey looked pained. I didn't know how to stop him. You didn't try, Marcus said, not accusatory, simply factual. Daltry nodded shakily. You're right. Jonas, the security captain, approached them, having finished escorting Crane out. Mr. Reed, Jonas said, I'll need your statement for the suspension file. Marcus sighed. I'll give it. The tenant interjected. And mine. And mine, the administrative assistant added. Jonas nodded. The more documentation, the better. Corporate's taking this seriously. Daltry sat down on a nearby bench, shoulders slumped. This could cost us our contract. Marcus looked at him steadily. Then rebuild trust. Start fresh. Daltry lifted his head. How? Marcus replied, training, oversight, transparency. Hire people who understand respect isn't optional. Daltry rubbed his temples. If you take ownership, will you require that? Marcus hesitated. If the sale goes through, yes. Jonas raised an eyebrow. You're the buyer. Marcus nodded. Jonas gave a low whistle. Well, that explains your persistence. Marcus chuckled softly. Persistence has kept me alive in a lot of places. The administrative assistant sat beside Daltry. Mr. Reed, will you fire everyone? No, Marcus said. Not unless they are part of the problem. Daltry exhaled. Then there's hope? A moment of silence stretched. Then Daltry said timidly, Do you need anything from me? Anything at all to help the sale move forward? Marcus looked him in the eye. I need honesty, accurate building records, and a commitment to change. Daltry nodded firmly. I can do that. Jonas spoke next. I'll oversee a temporary restructure of security. No one pulls rank without justification. Good, Marcus said. That'll make people feel safer. Daltry fiddled with the purchase documents Marcus had handed him. I never imagined the buyer will be someone Crane targeted. Marcus's voice softened. That's because Crane saw what he wanted to see, and nothing more. The administrative assistant asked carefully, Does it feel good, seeing him face consequences? Marcus paused. The question hit a tender, unexpected place inside him. It feels necessary, he said, but not good. Why not? She asked. Because none of this should have happened in the first place, Marcus replied. Not to me, not to any of you. The tenant nodded slowly. Still, you handled it with more grace than most. Marcus shrugged. Grace isn't victory. It's just survival with dignity. Daltry looked at him. What will you do now? I'll file my statement, Marcus said. Then go home. Think. Rest. Jonas extended a clipboard. We can do the paperwork here. Marcus spent several minutes recounting events, choosing each word carefully. He avoided exaggeration. He didn't need it. The truth was weight enough. When he finished, Jonas thanked him and stepped away. Daltry rose from the bench. Mr. Reed, whatever happens next, I hope you take this building. I really do. It needs someone like you. Marcus gathered his tools, feeling the exhaustion seep into his bones. If the sale goes through, I won't take it for recognition. Daltry frowned. Then for what? Marcus looked down the hallway, where Crane had once stood blocking his path, and said quietly, For the people who live here, for the people who work here, for everyone who deserves better. Daltry nodded, eyes shining with something like hope. Marcus walked toward the exit. The building no longer felt hostile, just wounded, and ready, finally, for healing. 3 weeks later, Marcus stepped through the same front doors Crane once blocked him from using. This time, no one questioned him. No one laughed. The morning sun spilled across the lobby floor, warm and clean, reflecting off newly polished marble. Daltry hurried out of his office. Mr. Reed, welcome back. Marcus shook his hand. Good to see you. How are things? Improving, Daltry said, almost proudly. Corporate approved the suspension. Crane still under review. Captain Jonas has reorganized the security team. The entire staff already feels safer. Good, Marcus said. A building should feel like shelter, not a checkpoint. Daltry gestured toward the elevators. Let me show you the renovations. As they rode up, a maintenance worker stepped in, then did a double take. Mr. Reed, you're the new owner, right? Marcus smiled faintly. Almost. Closings next week. The worker grinned. We've been hoping you'd take over. Word is you're already fixing the place. Trying, Marcus replied. They reached the third floor. Freshly painted walls replaced the scuffed ones Marcus remembered. New signage hung outside the tenant offices. A group of employees chatted near the break room, and when they saw Marcus, they waved. The administrative assistant from earlier approached shyly. You came to check on us. Marcus nodded. And the building? She gestured around. People are lighter. No one's afraid to walk the halls. Daltry added, even maintenance is reporting issues early now. They were too scared before, afraid Crane would blame them. A cluster of tenants rounded the corner, recognizing Marcus instantly. That's him, one whispered. Then louder, Mr. Reed, thank you for everything. Marcus raised a hand. I haven't done much yet. The 8-8 tenant stepped forward. You stood up when the rest of us couldn't. That counts. Marcus smiled softly. I just didn't have anything left to lose. You had your dignity, the tenant said, and you didn't let him take it. Marcus didn't respond, but something softened in his shoulders. Daltry motioned down the hall. Come, there's someone you should speak with. They walked toward the custodial wing. The janitor, the same one who warned Marcus weeks ago, looked up from a stack of supplies. His eyes widened. Marcus, he said, didn't think I'd see you back here. Needed to check in, Marcus replied. How's the job? The janitor grinned sheepishly. Better. Jonas promoted me to shift lead. Marcus raised his brows. That's great. Didn't think anyone noticed my work, the janitor said. Crane treated me like furniture. People notice more than you think, Marcus said. The janitor stepped closer. Is it true? You're buying this place? Marcus nodded. Paperwork's almost done. The janitor pressed a hand to his chest. Man, that's good news. Real good. They talked briefly about repairs, staff morale, and the atmosphere shifting without Crane's presence. Then Daltry pulled Marcus aside. I should be honest, Daltry said. Some investors expressed interest once word spread about potential upgrades. They wanted to outbid you. Marcus nodded. I expected that. Daltry lowered his voice. But the current owners refused. They like your plan better. Said you have integrity investors can't fake. Marcus stared at the floor for a moment, overwhelmed by a complicated mix of relief and responsibility. Then I'll try to live up to that. As they returned to the elevator, Jonas stepped out, clipboard tucked under one arm. Mr. Reed, he said, thought I'd find you here. Marcus nodded. Everything running smoothly. Better than before, Jonas replied. Security needed structure. Crane ignored protocols and made up his own rules. That ends now. Any updates on his case? Marcus asked. Jonas's expression shifted. He wants to come back. But corporate isn't convinced his fit. They are considering termination. Marcus exhaled. If they ask for my opinion. I'll tell them to ask you directly, Jonas said. Marcus thought carefully before answering. I'm not looking to destroy him, but he shouldn't be in a position to harm anyone ever again. Jonas nodded. Fair enough. As the morning progressed, Marcus walked the floors, speaking with tenants, checking maintenance requests, and listening to concerns. Everywhere he went, people approached him, not because he was a buyer, but because he had become a symbol of possibility. Near noon, as he headed back to the lobby, the administrative assistant called after him. Mr. Reed, she said breathlessly, how does it feel? Marcus paused. How does what feel? Knowing this place is changing because of you. Marcus looked around. The sunlight, the open doors, the relaxed shoulders, the absence of fear. It feels like the beginning, he said softly. And for the first time since the day Crane laughed at him in the lobby, Marcus felt the building breathe differently. Freer, warmer, alive. A week later, Marcus arrived for the final closing meeting. He parked slowly, letting the engine tick beneath him as he stared up at the building, its windows catching morning light like a new beginning. He stepped out with a breath that felt strangely heavy, filled with something between triumph and fatigue. Inside, the lobby no longer felt like enemy territory. The silence didn't threaten. The marble didn't judge. He walked toward the same security desk where Crane once marked his presence. A new guard sat there, young, alert, posture respectful. She smiled. "Good morning, Mr. Reed." Marcus nodded. "Morning." As he moved past her, she added quietly, "We're glad you're taking over." Marcus didn't turn around, but his shoulders softened. "Thank you." He crossed the lobby, pausing near the exact spot where Crane had laughed at him weeks earlier. The memory rose uninvited. "Next time, learn your place." Marcus closed his eyes briefly, grounding himself. His place, he realized, had never been the issue. Crane had been protecting his own fragile authority, not enforcing anything real. Footsteps approached. "Mr. Reed." Marcus turned. Daltry stood there with a folder tucked under his arm. "Everyone's upstairs. Ready when you are." Marcus nodded. "Give me a moment." Daltry hesitated. "Of course." When Marcus was alone again, he reached out and placed his hand on the cool marble pillar beside him. That day, Crane's voice, and the building itself, had felt like a wall he wasn't meant to pass. But now, he felt no barrier, no hostility, just stone, just a structure waiting for better leadership. A quiet voice interrupted. "Is it strange, being back here like this?" Marcus turned to see the administrative assistant walking toward him. He exhaled. "Strange and necessary." She offered a gentle smile. "I hope it feels different now." "It does," Marcus said, "but not because the building changed, because people did." She nodded thoughtfully. "Crane came by last night." Marcus blinked. "What?" "He tried to talk to Jonas," she said. "Begged for his position back. Jonas told him corporate will decide, but from the look on Crane's face, he knew." Marcus absorbed that quietly. He thought he was untouchable. "People like him usually do," she said. Then gently, "Does it bring you any peace?" Marcus looked at the lobby again. "Closure, maybe, not peace." "Why not?" "Because what he did isn't rare," Marcus said softly. "It doesn't end with him losing a badge. It ends when people stop letting men like him define the rules." She nodded. "Well, you started something here." "Just hope it continues," Marcus said. A group of tenants exited the elevator moments later, smiling, greeting him warmly. "Congratulations, Mr. Reed. We're lucky to have you. You saved this place." Marcus shook his head. "I just fixed a leak." Laughter softened the hallway. After they dispersed, Marcus finally entered the elevator. The doors closed with a gentle hush, carrying him upward. He watched the floor numbers rise, each one lifting a layer of weight from his chest. On the 8th floor, Jonas waited. "Morning, Mr. Reed," Jonas said. "Corporate meeting room's ready." Marcus shook his hand. "Everything all right?" Jonas nodded. "Better than all right. Security's stabilized. Staff feel safe. And Crane," he paused, "is officially terminated." Marcus exhaled, not triumphant, not cruel, just steady. "Then I hope he learns from it." Jonas studied him. Most people would celebrate at least a little. Marcus looked toward the hallway. "I'd rather celebrate what's coming, not what's gone." Jonas smiled. "Fair enough." They entered the meeting room where lawyers, owners, and staff representatives waited. Papers were signed. Keys exchanged hands. Agreements finalized. When Marcus walked out, the building was his, truly his. As he stepped back into the hallway, one of the tenants hurried ahead and held the door open for him. A simple gesture. Small. Human. Something unthinkable on that first day. Marcus stepped through, pausing as sunlight filled the space around him. The building wasn't healed yet. Neither was he. But change, real change, rarely arrived in a single moment. It arrived in many. And this one, standing in the lobby where everything began, felt like the start of a long, necessary journey. A journey Marcus was finally ready to lead.